ultra perfect cell. So, touching his head. Let's go. Landscape page. Pencil eraser, hit pause if I go too fast. So his head's pretty small. I wanted to fit in maybe a bit more of his body, and of course he has that big helmet sort of thing. So let's just do the frown. So a big sort of frowning eyebrow. It's not a hairy eyebrow, obviously, but it's just like a bump, kind of like Super Saiyan 3. And then it's very small Dragonball eye. Small line there, longer line there, and then you curve them together like that. Iris looking up from underneath that brow line, sort of a half circle. And then the pupil, same except black. Okay. There is some sort of frowning sort of brow lines there as well. The other eye, so it's 3/4 pose, so this eye is slightly different. So we have the frown coming out again, right? So a little bump. And then goes up and over. Now this one will curve out more to the side of his head. His hand is here, so we can't see the other side of the other one. But it sort of goes just a bit longer up that way. And then it kind of bumps around his head there. And you'll get some more sort of hatching on the frown there as well. His eye in there. And goes down into the nose then. You can't really see. He's looking up. Again, you got like a small semicircle just curving around here. And the pupil just looking up that way. So we finished sort of the features of his face. So we'll go his nose, kind of like bumping, wrinkly around here. And then curves to there. Okay, so nose then. So we go sort of down. And then back here. And then they kind of draw in the shadow underneath it like a little bit, you know, that little sort of mark that they do. Then we give him some like wrinkles on his nose and some of those cheek lines just under the eye. Maybe some on this side as well. So he's got a big smile. That smirk. And then some hatching just underneath his bottom lip. And his chin then. So he's got like some armor on his chin. But the general shape for it is kind of there. So like this comes this way for his jaw then. And open that disappears kind of behind his hand. So we have his cheekbone on this side because we're in 3/4 pose, right? So we'll go sort of in beside his eye. So his eye's like there, right? So we go into like the corner of his eye. And we got to do, there's like a gold detail. It's like his ear on the other side. And then we have some those purple lines that are on his face. And then the gold that's on his chin. Goes up that way. Now, so what else? Okay, we'll deal with probably that big head of his. So this is like huge. This sort of helmet that he has. It goes real far up. Like way bigger than you think, really. And it goes down here. There's like his skull is in there somewhere. But we have the other side first. And then this goes down behind his hand. In there. So it seems to have an inside portion on this side then. So you can kind of see shadows inside this. And then like his skull then, that round part. Like that, and you could have like just some hatching or something in there. Doop. Be a bit of an edge, like a little edge just coming up, you know, just to make it look a bit 3D. Because it seems to have a shadow on it in the picture. So obviously now, like he's got his ear in here and this finishes down behind his neck, but his hand, he's doing that pose that he does, touching his sort of finger to his head, saying he's like super big brain smart. So the hand like fits in this space, right? And generally we will just go 3 bumps, 2, 3, right? 3 little bumps there. And then this comes that way. This goes down. It kind of looks like a letter M, maybe. Just kind of stretched out and flattened on top. And this comes to his index finger, which is touching his head, right? So, like that. And then he has a sharp nail on the top. And then this goes back to the back of his hand, right, which has a knuckle there. Now, if you draw over any of these lines, you know, it's okay. That hand could be higher or lower in your drawing. You know, hands move and stuff slightly. And the back of his hand will keep going. They do kind of knuckle lines and stuff here. Back of the hand line. Like these fingers go back a bit more. This is his pinky, so it kind of like curls around itself. And the back of his hand comes down there. So like his hand sort of disappears into like his wrist armor. Right, so he's got like a round sort of bumpy wrist armor here. And of course his forearm, but we can see his ear. So now anatomy, right? So start with his neck. Curving this way, curving that way. Adam's apple, Another neck muscle line there. Another one here. So these neck muscles always go into the center of your chest. And his body's kind of in 3/4 like his face as well. So this is like the center line for his chest, going that way. And then his chest muscle, real sort of blocky, square kind of chest muscles. And this one then will disappear sort of behind his arm somewhere over here. And of course this one is twice the size of that one because we're in 3/4 pose, right? So this side is about twice the size. Say if you finished his chest in there, it would go to about there. So this one's nearly twice as big as this one because his body is turned away from the center point here, you know, it's turned away. So this one's like smaller. And then we have that V in there. And then like he's just kind of bumpy on his side body. So it's like these bumps here. And you'd call them abs, but it's like, I don't know if it's like just armor really. Like his back, so he's got like, so he's insect-like, you know, sort of armor shell, sort of, or turtle shell kind of stuff going on. And he has a bit of a bumpy section here with lines coming across it. And then another sort of bottom part. That way. And then like he has like a cape. Well, it's his wings, but you know, it's like it's connected up here. And then there's shoulder armor coming around his shoulder. Bit of a gap in it, and then green armor as well. Like it's all just like this bumpy armor stuff. Then forearm. Just going down off my page there. The image is pretty easy to find, so if you want to like keep going, or you can cut your page, say if you stop too early, or stick another page on. You know, if you stopped up here. People are always asking me in the comments, what do I do if I run out of room? Tape a page. And then this goes down that way. Like some texture on this. This is like the spike that he uses. Right, so we'll do forearm. So a real big forearm, just getting wider as it goes down. And it has these little sort of armor sections bumping out like this, these little bumps. And there's like some extra sort of lines in here. He's got like a round elbow pad. And then a big shoulder sort of sticking out here. So we got these two bumps, kind of like that. And then his shoulder, very big, bumping out there. It's like a turtle shell, sort of. Curves that way for his tricep. Little bump there for elbow, sort of connecting to the tricep area. And then like a bicep line maybe. And a big wing. And then we gotta do this stuff. Kind of electric energy. Well, you don't have to do this. It's kind of like black and blue. You can kind of do it any way you want, really. Sometimes it might come onto his body. And you know, they do like this in Legends. They do these cool sort of black slashes of brush sort of coming across as well. So you can do that if you want. But that's it. Obviously the green pattern, right? That's on him. That's like done with color. So you can like, if you drew it black, you could, like a manga sort of drawing, you could do the pattern that he has on his green parts of his skin. But it's more of a color pattern thing. So hope it's helpful. Thanks for watching. See you next one. Bye.